So thank you all for attending my mentorship and networking event. Today's discussion is going to be about artificial intelligence, past, present, and future. And yeah, it's just because I'm talking about artificial intelligence, that does not mean that it's not open for you to ask any questions that you may have outside of this, whether it's career-oriented or whatever the case may be. By all means, feel free to ask any questions at the end of this that you may have. So today's agenda, we're going to go through introductions, key terms, the past of AI, present of AI, the future of AI, and some AI learning resources. And then, of course, I'll open it up for Q&A for you. So key terms. So I want to take a moment and discuss some key terms just to make sure we're all on the same playing field here. Some of these terms that I'm going to use throughout the presentation, these are regular everyday things for the most part. So I just want to make sure everybody has an understanding of it. So the first term is generative AI. It's a form of AI that produces types of content, including text, imagery, audio, and video, the same AI that we're all familiar with. So here I've used the image here of my grandparents. On the left side, figure 1 is the original photo. And then figure 2 is the enhanced AI photo. So I used Canva to do this enhancement, but if you notice on the enhanced photo, you'll see that there's a glass there, another cup. There's an extension of the table that wasn't there before. And then over on the right side, looks like there's a bag that Canva threw in there. But what is the same in this picture is the way my granddaddy is looking at my grandmama, and I love it. The next slide, again, it's just an AI generated. The first one is AI generated ant doing yoga, AI generated ant, dancing ant is what I put in there, a dancing ant. So this was created with Kaplan. You can do the same thing in Canva. The point that I'm trying to make here is that there are tools that are easily accessible that you can create images and videos using AI, even images of yourself, obviously. So the next term is large language model, LLM, and it's a computer program that has been fed enough examples to able to recognize and interpret human language or other types of complex data. They use a type of machine learning called deep learning in order to understand how characters, words, and sentences function together. The next term is a chatbot, and we're all familiar with chatbots, but again, just want to make sure I'm leveling the playing field here for everybody. So let's say hypothetically, maybe you have Verizon or maybe you have Geico. They offer services online where you can go and talk to an online representative. That is considered a chatbot. There's 3 kinds of chatbots. The first one, which I just discussed, are chatbots with proprietary LLMs, which again are used by companies for customer support. Chatbots built on state-of-the-art LLMs, such as OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google. They have billions of parameters. And then chatbots built on open source LLMs that integrate with BotPress, BotKit, Chatterbot, and others. And the amount of parameters for these varies. So let's talk about the past of AI. So research and breakthroughs began in the 1950s. I know a lot of people think, oh my gosh, AI just started with ChatGPT. No, it's been around for a very long time. In Alan Turing's work, Computing Machinery Language into Intelligence laid the philosophical groundwork for AI research. In 1956, the Dartmouth Conference is considered the birth of AI as a field. It was held in Hanover, New Hampshire, and brought together researchers from various disciplines to explore the possibilities of artificial intelligence. So as I just mentioned, chatbots, I gave you guys that definition. The timeline below shows a chatbot, the evolution of chatbots. So the first one was Eliza, which was developed in 1966 by Joe Weizenbaum. He was a computer scientist at MIT. And Eliza was designed to stimulate a Rogerian psychotherapist session. So essentially, a session like this would go, maybe the client would say, hey, I'm feeling stressed about a coworker that's receiving credit for a project that I actually worked on. So the therapist might reply back, so it sounds like you're upset because your boss isn't recognizing your contributions. This type of therapy allows for really the client to explore their thoughts and feelings and decide, the best way for them to move forward or to address the issue. So this, Eliza, sparked, of course, fascination and provide the foundational example for generations of research and developers. I'm not going to talk about all these chatbots. I'm just going to highlight a few of them. So the next one is Eliza, which was developed in 95. And this This chatbot was designed to stimulate a conversation with human capability of understanding and responding natural language. So this, of course, gained popularity and attracted a large user base on the internet. And of course, they played a major field or a major contribution to developing the assistants that we have today, the virtual assistants that we have today. So Siri, which most of us, all of us should be familiar with at this point, but Siri was developed in 2010 as a virtual assistant developed by Apple, first introduced in October of 2010. And she introduced features, voice recognition, contextual understanding, and task automation, scheduling meetings, sending emails. And then that just kind of carried on with Cortana and Alexa, which was released in 2014. So Cortana was developed by Microsoft and has been integrated in Windows, Xbox One, Microsoft Edge, and the Office Suite. And then Alexa, which was developed by is embedded in Echo Dots and cars. Most people, I know I do, I use her to power on my lights, my TV, and she can do a number of other things. And then, of course, ChatGPT, which was released in 2018. ChatGPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and it was developed by OpenAI. It is a type of LLM model that uses deep learning techniques to generate human-like text based on input prompts. And overall, represents a significant advancement of AI. If you're not using ChatGPT, get on the wave. It's making things a lot easier for everyone. So the present, as I mentioned in my first opening statement or ask, how many of you are using AI in your everyday life? Everybody put a one in the chat, right? So some ways that you're using it, of course, as we mentioned with Siri and Alexa with our virtual assistants, some personalized experiences like with Netflix and Amazon recommendations, some efficient transportation. So when you use Google Maps or Waze or Maps, these leverage AI. And the financial services, they detect fraudulent transactions. So when you see those notifications from your bank saying, hey, there's a fraudulent charge here. Did you do this, yes or no? That was done by AI. Also to assess credit risk, which has proven to be an issue in the past, specifically for Black people, because the way that it is calculated and determined, it seems to have some drawbacks. So again, AI does some good. AI kind of has some of its drawbacks, which we'll talk more about. It has enhanced communication, so it facilitates language translation. A lot of times when you go out the country, you're like, I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what to say. Let me put this in my phone, translate it, and you start speaking the language that is powered by AI. And then improved healthcare, which is great. It's groundbreaking. It's diagnosing diseases earlier. It's developing medication, which actually will lead to longer lifespans. So cyber professionals, how they're leveraging AI, right? So dozens of cybersecurity vendors are integrating AI into their products. Why not? So they're using it to improve the ability to detect advanced threats, indicators of compromise, and detect vulnerabilities. They built in security tools to help investigate cyber threats, research cyber advisories, and remediate security incidents. Also, repetitive tasks to improve productivity, such as security event monitoring and incident response. And these are just some of the ways. I know there's other tools out there as it pertains to governance, risk, and compliance that allows you to look at new regulations and guidance that are available, that also looks at your internal policies and procedures and tells you, what needs to be implemented. I know there's also tools out there that they're being used to leverage assessments to complete security assessments. So these are just a few companies that I have included here: Calypso AI, Cranium, Hidden Layer, Protect AI. These are just a few companies that are leveraging AI in their solutions. So just as much as cyber professionals are leveraging AI, cyber criminals are too, probably a lot more than cyber professionals. That's why we've had to take this drastic turn here. So it's almost a competition. But last week, the FBI and the San Francisco division released an advisory warning warning of increased threat of cyber criminals leveraging AI. So call centers of major banks and financial institutions are now overwhelmed by deepfake calls. And they're using this technology to make fraudulent transactions and to break into users' accounts, as well as internal help desks. So companies that have help desks, they'll call the help desk, again, using this voice technology, AI voice technology, to alter their voice to access employees' accounts. So far, this has led to tens of millions of dollars in losses for companies' clients. In one case, a financial worker was duped into transferring funds for attackers. So speaker-based authentication systems are being finessed and circumvented with deepfake audio, and it is playing a huge impact on these organizations. In addition to that, the tools for these to create these audio transformations, they're very cheap. They're very accessible. It's as simple as converting those photos. For me, it's as simple as creating a deepfake voice. So it's very convenient, very accessible, very easy for anyone who's not necessarily technical savvy to carry out something like this. And of course, this is something that's huge on social media as well. And it's the same concept here, something so easy for a person to create. And you can access hundreds of thousands of social media users with minimal money with that information and spread that information easily, as we've seen in the past and as we intend to see this year with the election years. So other ways or additional ways kind of listed how cyber criminals are leveraging AI: discovered new evasion techniques to create well-written spear phishing emails. The spear phishing emails have improved drastically. I don't know if you guys remember that they used to be horrible. Like, it used to be really easy to catch those. Now they are much more advanced, much more complicated to catch. A new generation of AI polymorphic malware, such as Black Mamba. This one was designed to mutate in its appearance as signature files and decryption routines. So basically what that means is typical tools such as antivirus, anti-malware solutions that are signature-based, they cannot recognize basically this malware. They cannot prevent this malware from mutating throughout the environment. So that's something to be aware of. Cyber criminals ask OpenAI to generate Python code for keylogging application code. So essentially, they're getting free code for keyloggers, to sum it up. Near perfect deepfakes, as I already mentioned, C-level fraud, which we'll get into for a second, and then deepfake porn and revenge porn, which is all over the dark web. So as I mentioned, recent cyber attacks, deepfakes are they are playing a huge detrimental, they're a huge impact to corporations. So the CEO of WPP, which is the world's biggest ad firm, detailed the attempted fraud in a recent email to leadership, warning others at the company to look out for calls claiming to be from top executives. So the attackers created a WhatsApp account, you guys use WhatsApp, and used the image of the CEO that was out on the web to set up a Microsoft Teams meeting that appeared to be him and another executive from the company. During the meeting, the attackers deployed a voice clone of the executive as well as a YouTube footage of them. So essentially, the scammers were easily able to impersonate these. They had asked them to create a new business and attempt to solicit money and personal details. It was a failed attack. So let's discuss the future of AI. So AI regulation varies significantly throughout the world, with different countries and regions adopting diverse approaches to address the ethical and legal and societal implications of AI. And the first one we're going to talk about is the European Union Act. So this was passed in March 13, 2024. The European Parliament officially passed that. They're calling it the AI Act. And it's the world's first horizontal standalone law governing AI and a landmark piece of legislation for the EU. Earlier this week, the Council of Europe indicated that they adopted the first international treaty for AI. So this treaty is the first ever international legally binding treaty aimed to ensuring the respect of human rights, the rule of law and democracy, legal standards, and use of AI systems. So I guess a little differentiation here. I had to do a little research myself to understand the difference between the European Union and the Council of Europe. I am not a government or history buff, so excuse me. But just for clarification, the European Union is a political and economic union made up of 27 European countries. The Council of Europe is an international organization comprising of 47 member states, including countries outside of the EU, such as Russia and Turkey. So the treaty is huge in that we're getting different countries to agree on AI, which, as we'll see in the coming 2 other slides up, this is detrimental, getting everyone to agree on what is and isn't right with AI. So US regulation. So there's currently no specific or unique federal obligations imposed on developers, users, operators, and/or developers of AI systems, but it's coming. The White House Executive Order on AI proposed legislation at the federal and state level. It generally seeks to address safety and security, responsible innovation and development, equity, and unlawful discrimination. The blueprint for an AI risk bill of rights was published in October 22, published by the Biden administration. And it has 5 principles. It's not legally binding, but the 5 principles are safe and effective systems, algorithmic discrimination, data privacy, notice and explanations, and human alternatives, considerations, and fallback. So I'm saying all this to say that there's going to be a lot of new regulations as it comes down to AI. Ethical dilemmas and regulatory challenges are going to be a factor in coming up with this regulation. Issues such as bias and fairness, privacy and data protection, accountability and transparency, and autonomous decision-making require careful consideration and regulation just to make sure that the development of AI is done in a fair, safe, responsible way. So the future of AI, curing diseases, as I discussed, there's already early diagnosis, so the ability to cure diseases, and of course, this will allow for people to live longer. Optimizing renewable energy generation, performing dangerous or tedious tasks, improving weather forecasting and tornado alerts. The weatherman is always wrong, so hopefully this will help them get it right. Create new jobs, developing and supporting AI-based solutions, and bringing closure with deceased loved ones. And I have this one highlighted in yellow because I wanted to talk about this one a little bit more. There are companies out there right now who are working with individuals to gather information about them. So essentially some people want to leave their loved ones with a memory of them. So people are working with these organizations, putting as much information into these LLMs about themselves and their personalities. So that way, when they do pass, maybe you're leaving it for your grandchildren, or maybe you're leaving it for your spouse, but they can go back and ask you questions and have conversations with you. This one person, her name is Anna Schultz, and she's from Illinois, and she has actually been leveraging Snapchat My AI, which is powered by ChatGPT, to speak to her deceased husband. Not speak to, but emulate speaking to. He was the chef of the family, so she will open her Snapchat app and she'll say, "Hey, we have X, Y, and Z in the house. What should I make?" And of course, ChatGPT, they'll provide a response to that. But this has been used in plenty of other cases, but this is something that's definitely on the rise, and definitely expect to see more of this. So AI educational resources. While I'm here providing you all this information, I am not giving you all the information about AI. This is very, very high level, and that's just it. There's so much more to know about it. There's so much more learning to do about it. This is the evolving field. There's so much space and opportunity here for you if this is something that you want to pursue. So the first resource I'm going to give you was Coursera, which is great. And they offer an AI for Everyone course, which is going to give you something kind of similar to what I'm doing, explaining it in an easy, understandable way to comprehend everything. The next one is Machine Learning for All. Again, it's going to kind of break it down to you probably a little bit more technical, but for sure it'll break it down to you. The next two are Udacity, which are they are intermediate courses, but it offers deep learning and AI programming with Python. And then the last one I'm going to leave you with, maybe, you don't want to do all that reading, Unknown Killer Robots on Netflix. Hands down, great documentary. It gives a sense of how advanced AI already is through the eyes of scientists and racing of development devices. So really good. It also talks about how it's being used in cyber warfare and all the potential drawbacks and benefits of it. So highly recommend that you check that out on Netflix. It's really a good watch, maybe about an hour and a half long. So with that, hey, Ani, I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you have any questions?
Hey girl, no, sorry I'm late. What did I miss? Because that was the basic, right? I had to say that.
I recorded this whole thing, but no, I'll go back through it with you, sis.
Oh, thank God. Yes, she does love me. Okay, let's get it.
I'm going to give you the high level summary. I think you already know these words though, but I'm going to show you my pictures too, because I'm proud of the pictures that I created. So you already know what generative AI is, creates text, images, and audio and video. So this is a picture of my grandparents that has been AI enhanced. I used Canva to do that. So the first one is the original, the other one is the enhanced photo. Then I created these other pictures using Capwing. Canva does the same thing, but I put in an ant doing yoga and got that amazing photo, and then a dancing ant and got that cool photo.
Yo,
So,
those photos are nice. I like that.
sis,
I'm not gonna lie, sis. The photo with your grandparents does not look, it looks very similar.
they
The
do.
real photo from the AI one. I wouldn't have known. I really wouldn't have. I'm looking at it right now. I wouldn't have known.
Yep.
I would have
So
thought it was the same one.
exactly, but you can see on the AI enhanced one, they threw some cups and stuff in there, and then on the other one, they threw a bag in
They've
there.
added, yeah, they added some more
Yeah.
stuff to the table.
I'm like, okay, I'm here for this.
It's
And
a
it
little
clears
dramatic
the
effect.
skin.
I like it.
Yeah, it clears
Yes,
the skin too.
it does.
So, and then I'm going to skip over this. I know you know what a chat bot is. There's three kinds of them. But then the past of AI. So AI, a lot of people think that AI started in like 2018 when ChatGPT came out, but it didn't. Cortana and Alexa, those are forms of AI. Siri is a form of AI. Google Now is a form of AI. And it actually started in the 1950s. This guy, Alan Turing, basically he wrote a paper, he did some research, and this was the groundwork for AI research. Dartmouth Conference of 1956. This is where they like to say AI was birthed. A bunch of different researchers gathered at this conference to essentially develop the disciplines of AI. I included a timeline here, chatbots. I'm not going to go through all of them with you. The main point that I really want to show is really the evolution of it all. Started in 1966, and we are here now in 2018 with ChatGPT. The first one was Eliza. And essentially, she was made to simulate a Rogerian psychotherapist session. So essentially, like if a person came in and was like, "Oh, I'm upset because such and such got all the credit on this work, and I didn't receive any credit," the therapist would reply back and say, "So it sounds like you're upset because your boss isn't recognizing your contributions." And so that type of therapy just allows for the person to really look to themselves to figure out their feelings and whatnot. So that's what Eliza did. She created that therapist session, and then she kind of laid the groundwork for everything that we have now.
That's kind of cool. A little way to vent. How that
Yeah, I was about to say to a computer, but people are venting to computers and chatbots
every day.
all day. I watched Ashley Madison on Netflix yesterday. You know what Ashley Madison is, right? That website?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So they were saying one of the things was they were like, oh, we have a equal amount of men and women. Well, they found that some women created accounts and they just kind of left their accounts there. And they just basically leveraged them with chatbots and had them talking to people. And so people was real life having these freaky conversations with chatbots. So, I mean, we went from psychotherapy sessions to chatbots. So, I mean, to psychotherapy sessions to, I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Listen, it could be a lot of different things with that website.
I watched that last night. I was like, wow. So anyway, the significance of AR in our daily life. This slide really just highlighted we use AI more than we think that we do. Google Maps,
Every
traveling,
single day,
every day.
especially the people that have Alexa all through their house.
Girl, that's me. Look, I don't feel like turning those lights off. Guess what she doing?
Listen, controlling the whole house.
The whole house. Turn them lights off, turn that TV off, and turn the oven on.
Setting alarms to wake people up. My thing
All
is,
that.
what are they gonna do if this ever gets hacked? People can control our entire house, and we're gonna be sitting back screwed.
And you know, some people have it on their door locks in their garage, so I avoid that.
That too.
For that very
That's
reason.
just wild. That's just too wild for me. I can't just let people come in and out my house now.
Yeah, but I'm nervous about it, just even with it being connected to my Wi-Fi. Like, I would be nervous. Like, I'm not putting that on my Wi-Fi. Anybody can just break into your Wi-Fi, and then all of a sudden now they opening up doors in your garage. I think there's another Netflix show about that too. But at any rate,
I have to check that out. Netflix got some good stuff on.
Netflix got some good documentaries.
That's why they keep raising the price and we keep paying for it. Okay,
Yep.
that makes sense.
It makes sense. I'm not trying to watch regular TV at this point. So, yeah. I think another thing I wanted to highlight here that we use AI in our daily life for is, well, bankers use it, the financial institution uses it to assess credit risk. And this was a big thing like not too long ago. Well, you're using it to assess credit risk. Well, how does this impact minorities? Because in generally, I mean, we don't have as much money in general as other races. So there were some drawbacks in assessing credit risk. I believe there were some other issues as it pertained, well, there were some other issues as it pertained to facial recognition. They were, again, not correctly recognizing minorities, and it led to false arrests, false deportations, all types of chaos. So AI is everywhere. And of course, they're being used for our Netflix and Amazon recommendations. So next slide. I'm sure you know this already, but cyber professionals are leveraging AI. This slide really just speaks to how they're leveraging AI to really do incident response and security monitoring. But it's also being used in the governance, risk, and compliance. For example, when new regulations are released, if the system that you're using has your policies and procedures stored in there, they can do an analysis to determine what policies and procedures need to be updated. Even without those there, they can still do that analysis, but it's more specific, obviously, if it has more information. Same thing with security assessments. It can be leveraged in the security assessments as well. Similar concept. And then cyber criminals leveraging AI. I know you've heard of this stuff, Ani, but it's used for creating deepfake voice audio. So last week, May 8th, the FBI and the San Francisco division, they released an advisory basically saying, hey, be on the lookout because artificial intelligence the threat has increased significantly. So call centers at major banks and financial institutions are overwhelmed by deepfake calls. So they've been using it to break in customer accounts and make fraudulent transactions. Internal organizational help desks are being attacked as well. So far has led to tens of millions of dollars in losses. And additionally, a financial worker recently was duped into transferring hundreds of thousands of fraud funds. And we already know how it plays a role on social media, spreading false information quickly, and it's only going to get worse as we approach this election this year.
Yeah, the news was talking about this. They didn't go into details, but they definitely were talking about it. I want to say this week or last week. It was very recent, though.
You said what?
The news was talking about that very thing this week, maybe last week.
Yeah. So cyber criminals are leveraging AI, as I mentioned, to avoid discovery. to create better spear phishing emails. I don't know if you remember those spear phishing emails. You used to be able to catch those pretty good. Man, they got all these typos. The spacing is wrong. What is this random
Nah,
punctuation?
they don't have as many anymore. They've got pretty
Mm-mm.
good. It's
They're real good
you.
now.
It's kind of hard to figure out what's real and what's fake.
Yes, it's getting more difficult. New generations, polymorphic malware. Black Mamba is one of those. Essentially, it's a form of polymorphic malware that it changes its signature and appearance. So those signature-based anti-malware can't detect it, can't block it, can't prevent it from replicating throughout the network. We already discussed the deep fakes. I'm going to discuss a little bit more. You probably heard about this one on the news too. The CEO of the world's biggest ad firm, WPP, was targeted on WhatsApp with a deep fake video. So essentially the attacker, they created a WhatsApp profile with him, scheduled a Teams meeting, what looked like him and another senior VP. And basically, they tried to get them to create another business, a different line of business, so they could solicit money and get personal details. So he sent a warning out to everyone, hey, this is what's happening. And this is not the first time I've heard about someone trying to do something like this on WhatsApp. So I guess a lot of public organizations are using WhatsApp. So something to be mindful of.
Damn, I didn't hear about this, but that's crazy.
Insane. So it's like they set up the whole meeting and they used some YouTube footage of him to make it look like he was talking. They had his voice and yeah.
This is why you gotta be careful what you put on social media. I'm about to stop posting. Could you imagine if people really thought it was him?
Like, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that's insane. So the future of AI. So the European Union, March of 2024, they adopted the AI Act, and this is a landmark piece of legislation for the EU, and it's the world's first horizontal and standalone law for governing AI. Earlier this week, the Council of Europe, which is different than the European Union that I learned today or yesterday, but they created the first international treaty. So real quick, Ani, I don't know if you know the difference, but this is new to me. Not good at government, not good at politics. But the European Union is a political and economic union of 27 European countries, so it's all within Europe. And then the Council of Europe is an international organization comprising of 47 members and includes countries outside of EU, such as Russia and Turkey. So this is big because we're getting multiple countries to agree on the development and the use of AI, which is new, is all new. And then good old USA, the regulation of AI. So there's currently no specific or unique federal obligation, but the White House executive order on AI proposed legislation at the federal and state level, which generally seeks to address the following: safety and security, responsible innovation and development, equity and unlawful discrimination, and protection of civil liberties. And then there's also the blueprint of AI of rights, which again, it's not legally binding yet, but it's set on 5 principles: safe and effective systems, algorithmic discrimination, data privacy, notice and explanations, and human alternatives or considerations and fallback. So just something to be aware of. And I have a photo there of the new executive order that came out, advancing governance, innovation, and risk management for agencies of AI. So this is good for our big 4 federal agencies and how they're using it and how their consumers are using it as well. So more AI legislation is definitely coming down in the near future. And I think you heard the future of AI part in bringing closure with deceased loved ones.
Yep, I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah.
That don't sit right with me, but for other people, if that's your thing, I ain't gonna knock you for it.
It's weird. I will say that, but then it's like, okay, I see the pros and the cons. Like, I think for us in our generation, it creeps us out. But I could see how, like, if we did this and gave it to our kids, like gifted it to them, like, hey, I'm no longer really here with you, but hey, when I die, you'll still have quote unquote a piece of me. I could see how that could be nice for the future.
Yeah, now see, that would make sense. It just don't make sense for me currently. Like that would be weird.
Yeah, that would creep me out for sure. Um, and then AI educational resources. So Coursera, they have some really good everyday type of learning for you if that's something you want to dive in on. Udacity has really good programming ones, and then Unknown Killer Robots. This was a really good Netflix documentary that I enjoyed. Highly recommend.
I'm about to start hitting you up for what to watch on Netflix because you clearly know of everything.
All documentaries, sis.
I mean, that's a genre I typically don't go for, but maybe I need this one. I might learn to go to.
Yeah. And then upcoming events, June 24, I haven't set a date yet, but I'm doing a presentation on ZTA, past, present, and future. Same thing with ZTA. People think ZTA started a couple years ago. ZTA been around for a little bit of time.
It's just getting more popular, which makes people think it's new. I'm
Mm,
beginning to think that's how that's how these things are working these days. It's
yeah,
like a new thing that we hear about, so you assume it's new when it's really not.
it's really not. Yeah. And then another thing I have coming down the pipeline that is not in these slides, we are doing a Raw happy hour right after work, and it's a Black IT networking event. We are doing it at Chicha, June 12th, Wednesday, June 12th from 6 to 9. It's going to be a facilitated or a curated networking event, so there will be discussion. Just like that, it'll be discussion, be very interactive if that's what you choose. They'll have drink specials, food specials, and hookah. And I'll send you the information for that.
Oh, that sounds exciting. I'm interested in attending. Hey, bring some people with me.
Definitely bring some people with you. Should be. You heard of Chicha, right? You remember them?
Yes,
Yeah. So they shut down.
haven't been, but yeah.
Yep. So they shut down. And they got a new location now. So we gonna be there.
All right, well, sounds like a plan to me.
Yes. 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 Well, thank you for attending today.